This touches on some of the ideas we had in the past too. Um, but I have to start off with a mashal. It's where the Talmud and a Rebbe relationship. The Talmud has emptied himself out and is ready to learn from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe turns up and he's giving the shir. In the middle of the shir, he sees something. Either the Talmud isn't understanding what he's trying to say, or there's a through speaking out that before he came and actually gave over the shir, he had all the shir in the klalim, but now he's speaking it out and putting it from the klalim to the prat and going from the general ideas into the specifics. By speaking out the specifics, he sees new things in the idea. That comes to him as a chokhmah. The chokhmah, now if he doesn't pay attention to it, the chokhmah will go back and maybe he'll never see that again. So he starts to think about the chokhmah. As he does that, he's still on the page. He's still there talking about the ideas in which he was saying, but since his das is not in the ideas, the Talmud already gets an idea that the Rebbe is not completely there. So it's a little bit distressing for the Talmud because he can see that the Rebbe is slightly has other ideas, distracted. As the Chochmah develops, then the Rebbe pays more and more attention to it, and then he can say wrong things. He can stop in the middle of a sentence, stop talking, because the distraction of the Chochmah, which he's now dealing with in the middle of Shir, is taking him away from the Talmud, and the pain gets more for the Talmud until it reaches one point in which the Rebbe says, give me a moment here, I need to think about something. Now the whole reason that the Rebbe is doing this is in order that he can get a bigger idea or shlemus in the idea, and through that he's going to be able to give it over to the Talmud on a higher level than what he had before. So therefore he is taking away from the Talmud in a sense in order to give back to him more. So in a proper relationship, so then the Talmud understands this, that is really because his Rebbe wants to give, that's why he's going away from him now. However, there's a pain there at this stage of where so here's me getting distracted by some car trying to get into a spot that he'll never get into, so I'm completely distracted, no idea what I was talking about. So even though the Talmud knows that's for his own benefit, it's so painful at that point in time. This mashal explains the periods between Tisha B'Av, Shavas B'Tammuz, and Yom Kippur, and Simchas Torah, where again we have the 3 weeks and then we have the 7 weeks, and that hits Rosh Hashanah. So why was the temple destroyed? Because there's a new light that needs to come into the world, and you can't keep the temple going and just have the third temple come after the second temple in that respect, because otherwise it's just an extension of the second temple. You need to destroy the second temple in order to have a third temple, just like Herodian rebuilt the second temple. That was physically the most beautiful temple they had. It was right at the end of the second temple days, because Herodian put gold and all sorts of stuff going on there. It was the most physically impressive temple. But it's that part of the second temple, so the end of the second temple. So it's not a new temple, the third temple, the fourth temple, the fifth temple, because that second temple hasn't been destroyed. Therefore, no matter what you do to it, it's just going to be a continuation of it. And in order to get to a new paradigm, and a new existence, and a new life, and a new or that goes beyond, so therefore there's a need in order to destroy the old. Now, why were the first tablets destroyed? Because we needed a second set of tablets. To say that the first tablets of the Torah Shel Tzadikim and the second tablets or the Torah Shel Balei Tshuva. So in order to reach the heights of the Balei Tshuva, they needed to destroy the first tablets. So the first tablets need to be destroyed because that light is now going, and there's going to be a higher light, and a higher light is going to be the after the break-in. Now, you have when you have trying to give over a shear, you have a kid and he just gets everything you tell him, he just gets it. So then everything's nice, everything's beautiful. This is like the tzaddik, do this, he does it. If you have a Talmud, he doesn't get anything. So you tell him over the vort and he just doesn't get it. So now what do? So now you need to go deeper into the inyan in order to find a greater light, a bigger light, from a deeper place in order to get this person. Because when you give it over to him in the normal way, it's just not happening. So for example, you have a guy and he goes to Cheder or whatever it is, and he's like, you know what? I don't care. I care about mitzvahs and don't really care about God. I have no real interest in this. So the aura which he's getting is not working for him. So he's rejecting that aura. So it's like it's the let's say aura level 6 in which you're putting on him. It's just it has no effect on him. So therefore you need to reach a higher place in order to get him. So the Baal Tshuvas which you see today are coming from a deeper place than the tzaddikim, where you need something that goes beyond in order to catch them, because the standard stuff, there's a God and you should do his mitzvahs, he gave the Torah, it's just not working for them. So you need to go to a deeper place in order to get them. So that the darkness, you have that by rejecting, by doing averas, you're going into a deeper darkness. Therefore you need a greater light in order to take you out of that darkness. So therefore when it comes to the tzaddikim, so everything's fine on the first level. So there's a clarity in the first set of tablets, where if they only had the first set, so they would have the Torah without the Baal Peh. So everyone would just know everything and be easy, and everyone would just do the mitzvahs. But the greater light is where you have the depth of the Gemara, where it's saying, well, no, this is like this, and what about this, and who knows about that? No, you're wrong. No, I'm wrong. No, yes, we're all wrong. So the depth that comes out, and all the shitas and all the maklokasim, creates a much deeper relationship between the people. So for example, you have a wife and you want looks, money, and personality, so you just sit there. She's like a comedian. She's got, she looks good and has it, and this is just there's no real relationship here, because you're just taking whatever it is you want, because it just works in your box, it fits. Whereas if you're going to have the much deeper relationship, is if you go beyond these superficial things and go into the depth of the person and say, who are you, what makes you tick, etc. So why were the first set of tablets destroyed? Because they needed to bring out a deeper set, a deeper light, which was the second set of tablets, which is on a deeper level. That's why Moses Rashi says that he had a sapphire quarry in his tent, and God said, "Pasolacha." She says, "You can keep the pasolas, what's left over, the broken shards of the cutting. You can get rich from. You can keep that; it's yours." And Rashi says he got rich from that. I guess it's in Shemois on the Pasolacha pasuk. Rashi there. Anyway. Now in the first set of tablets there's no psoilis, there's no broken pieces, there's nothing extra there. So Moses went up the mountain empty-handed, and he just got given the tablets with nothing missing. So with the second set, where's Rashi getting rich from? He's getting rich from the brokenness. The broken parts, the left over, the things left behind, the birur, the things he did birur on. He said, this is the tablets, this isn't the tablets. Which again is going back into the Gemara. This is a good sheet, it's a bad sheet to do this. Don't do that. We have this. I'm going to keep some of this. I'm going to get rid of some of that. So that's the process of a teshuva and birur. So God's telling that you'll have to get rich from the brokenness, because again, that's the deeper ore that's needed in the second tablets, is coming because of your brokenness, and you're just not going to take the standard the standard way. So again, the guy who's top of the class. Now, again, usually what happens, Lamaisa, is that the guys who are clever get it. The guys who aren't, they just get left behind. But as a real teacher. So therefore you have to go to a deeper place in order to bring this guy who doesn't get it in. So the guy who doesn't get it is usually going to be actually on a deeper level than the tzaddikim. This is why where the Baal Teshuvos can stand, where the tzaddikim can, where the tzaddikim can't get there. And that the again, this is coming from the deeper light, the Yisro Ha'or and Choshech, that the darkness brings out a greater light, and therefore, in a subconscious sense, people who do terrible averas are really looking for a deeper relationship with Hashem rather than a more shallow, because that shallow light of just the Torah says to do it, therefore I'm going to do it, isn't enough for them, and they need something more. So they can go to very deep levels, to very deep darkness, and that darkness can bring back a greater light. So you have this. So, in order to makabel this light, you have to become a kli. You have to empty yourself out and become a kli in order to reach the point and say, again, bring from the subconscious I want a relationship to the consciousness I want a relationship. And that's a very difficult time, very difficult process. So that represents the 3 weeks where everything gets destroyed, which represents the Talmud, the Chachma Bina Das, the Talmud coming in front of the Rebbe in order to makabel his teachings. He has to be an empty kli, because if he's not an empty kli, he kept the second temple built, and therefore you can never have a third temple, because you're just adding on to it. You're not actually building something new. So out of that destruction, therefore you have the Mashiach. Therefore you have the new dawn, but it's still a painful time because everything is getting destroyed. Who am I? I used to know who I was yesterday, but I have destroyed all that. Moses says, "Nachlema, what are we?" It's like he has no paradigms that he stays with. Every day he's breaking boxes, which can be a very painful experience, because you never belong anywhere, because you have nothing that defines you as such. So after that, then there's the Sheva Nechemta of the 7 weeks, which are the 7 midos, which is that you start to see something, and there's, so again, straight after Tisha B'Av Shabbos Nachamu, that there's a Nechama immediately after the destruction. So that Nechama is that because you can see that there is purpose in this, and you can see, so now the Rebbe is starting to come back to you, and he's starting to give over higher things, but you haven't got this new idea yet, you haven't really understood, but you can see that he's coming back, and you can see that there's hope, and that there's it's not the time of destruction, it's the time of starting to understand. So therefore this leads up to Rosh Hashanah, in which at that point you can therefore accept the relationship of God on you, because you're now misameach in this new relationship. Every year we have to have this new relationship. You makabel God as your king last year. Why are you doing it again this year? Because you just went through the 10 weeks. Therefore everything that you makabeled last year was destroyed. So you need to do it all again. So therefore makabel, because you're makabel Hashem on a new madrega. And after that, and therefore you get the tablets again, the new tablets on on Yom Kippur, which represents this new level which you have achieved through the 10 weeks. And therefore on Simchas Torah you can rejoice in this relationship as it's come into your kelim, and you can understand now this new light in a level where you're able to grasp it, level of chidim, not in the level of a gulam, in the way of the dibur. So again, the new light comes out through either the Talmud doesn't get it. So again, you have God hashpa in the world, and the guy's like, I don't care about you. So God needs to go to a deeper level. You can have the by going from the cloud to the prat, that when you have all the ideas, you speak them out, and then you see there's different ideas going on than you originally thought, and then therefore you go into a submission in order to try to find out this new chokhmah. Now it says in the Gemara that they sinned. So that's why the temples were destroyed. So how can I say that it's because they were destroyed to bring in a new life? Because sometimes, again, the Talmud's not ready for the new light, but it's not working, it's not going in. Therefore, there has to be some type of decision that because of his sin, he's showing he's not there, this light's not working for him because of their sin there, and therefore he's not involved in the Torahs and mitzvahs at that light. Therefore the sin is the reason to destroy, to get to that higher light, which will, because of the darkness in which they're in, so therefore the higher light will be able to bring them in. So sin is it's not necessarily, again, it's not punishment for the sin. The sin is like a giloi, that God has decided that we have to go to a higher light in order to make this work.